Hello, everyone, and welcome into the 610 podcast. We've enjoyed bringing you conversation so much that we want to open it up to the listeners. If you want to get in on the conversation, email me at 610podcast, capital PHL, at gmail.com to get your Philadelphia sports questions asked. That's 610podcast, capital P, capital H, and capital L at gmail.com. Now to the conversation.
1, 1, 2. Check me out right here, yo.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into another episode of the 610 podcast. I'm your host, Jay Hollahan, back here on this Monday evening discussing the Philadelphia 76ers. They get the win against the Brooklyn Nets, of course. They won 107-86 in the regular season finale. They close on an 8-game win streak. They did not have Joel Embiid. We'll hear from Nick Nurse on that, on a couple other things as well, and as well as Tyrese Maxey talking about that and other things as well. So, just run down of the game. Tyrese Maxey, 26 points. Sixers, in the first quarter, they seemed to be a little sluggish. Nets were kind of, putting up a fight there, but eventually the 76ers pulled away. Got out to a 10-point lead at halftime, if I'm not mistaken, and just continued to move it along. Tobias Harris played well, 21 points, 8 boards. I also forgot to mention Maxey had 3 assists. Lowry, though, didn't score any points, but had 8 assists, grabbed 4 boards as well. Paul Reed was great on the boards and in the paint, 13 points, 12 rebounds. A great game by Paul Reed. And the 76ers, they wanted a chance to get the 6th seed and avoid the play-in tournament and get a nice week off, but it wasn't in the cards, as they'll be taking on the Miami Heat on Wednesday night. It's a home game at the Wells Fargo Center. But it's an opportunity for one 76er in particular, and what could, potentially be his final game at home as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. Hear from Nick Nurse on one guy he's most confident in carrying his strong game over from Sunday into the play-in tournament.
Well, I thought Tobias was excellent at both ends. Again, good decisions, played hard, physical, guarded. He was in a lot of those shot clock violation possessions where his guy was trying to take him one-on-one at the end of it, and he just kept keeping in front of him and playing him physical and bottling him up.
How poetic would it be? We've been just harping on that Tobias Harris contract since the summer of 2019. Mind you, when that contract was signed, COVID was not a thing. Think about how long that was. Almost 5 years ago. Jimmy Butler and that deal had intense ramifications because the 76ers could have ran them for Tyler Hero. They could have, gone in several different directions for Jimmy Butler. But instead, they wanted Josh Richardson, of all people. I don't know. So, let that sink in for a minute. The 76ers have this, and Tobias Harris specifically, has this opportunity to maybe shut the fans up. It's that kind of, I think either way you look at it, this is not going to be a very favorable contract. But they do have this opportunity, and he has this opportunity to go out swinging on this game. And I know you lose this one, you have another game, and it's a home game. But in terms of just playing against the Miami Heat, you have an opportunity to earn a spot into the playoffs. Now, if you get the 7 seed, you beat Miami, you're going to be facing the New York Knicks in a 7-game series. Not a team you want to see. The Knicks have had the 76ers number throughout this season, but we're not even concerned about that at the moment. Concerned about just getting in. And the 76ers right now should be, excited for the moment, but I'm a little uneasy about it because this is a really, really tough Miami Heat team coming in, and you can never count out Eric Spoelstra or Jimmy Butler in this one. So let's go to Nick Nurse talking about Joel Embiid's knee to not play Sunday against the Brooklyn Nets. So let's hear from Coach Nurse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he did everything at practice yesterday. We just decided out of caution to hold him out. He'll be ready to go. Yeah, he'll be fine.
I mean, precautionary measures, that's okay. They felt very confident in getting the win against the Nets with Mo Bamba and Paul Reed. And now you go up against the Miami Heat on Wednesday with hopefully as close to healthy as he can be given the circumstances. And hopefully we get to see that Joel Embiid we've seen throughout the last couple of games he's played. Now, he's going to be such an X factor in that game. That's obvious, but just in terms of his health is going to be so important. I don't know how Spoelstra is going to go about it. He might be sending 2 at Joel Embiid. The second he goes up, we might be seeing another guy come over going for a board, putting some contact on Embiid. I wouldn't be surprised in that. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Heat really start to run the floor at a very, very fast pace because they want to tire him out. I also wouldn't be surprised to see if that happens. The Sixers are going to have to slow down their offense. And they've been doing that lately. If you notice, they take a lot of time off the shot clock. They haven't really been shot chucking as much with Embiid on the floor. They want to give him time to rest up. They want to give him some time to do those things. Now, whether or not that's going to have to become a factor on Wednesday night could be a situation to look out for. But this is going to be an interesting game between two teams that have had very similar seasons. And, even though Miami was not really a player for a possible top 3 seed, the 76ers, of course, were. They've had their own deals with injuries. But this is a Miami Heat team that's been there before. They were a play-in team last year. They went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals and then made it to the NBA Finals. So this is a very, very experienced Heat team. They're very comfortable with being the underdogs. The 76ers, this is unfamiliar territory. I mean, looking back on it, they have never been in a play-in tournament scenario, and, they were a 6 seed back in that COVID year, and they lost in the first round against the Boston Celtics, but let's face it, it was a COVID year, come on. But right now, this is a completely different scenario the 76ers have had. So now I want to play Tyrese Maxey on his leadership role, how big he's been over the last couple months, and we'll play some other interesting clips from Tyrese Maxey as well.
I think day one at training camp, I kind of knew that, I was going to be pushed into this role because of our situations. But, I give kudos, Joel and guys who gave me the, confidence to step up and use my voice. And I kind of talked about it earlier with you because I feel like I put in a lot of work and guys see that. And when you put in a lot of work and guys see that, they kind of rally behind you because they know you mean well. And for me, every time I step on the court, no matter what I'm doing, it's to win. And they know that. So I don't yell or scream. I just like to talk to guys and try to help us win games.
Tyrese really did grow up this season, I think, maturity-wise. We always knew he needed some work consistently on his game. Well, he did that. The thing was, could he be able to handle the pressure of pushing this team to the end? He did the best he could. Given his age, 23 years old, he was able to handle it at a very, very, very strong and at the highest of levels. He had to grow up, on-job training, if you will, and being a leader. I mean, sure, Tobias Harris may have been vocal. Sure, Kelly Oubre may have been as well. But there's no one that could have been that type of leader as both a player on the court and also off than Tyrese Maxey. And I thought he did a fantastic job this year in doing so. Now let's hear his confidence going into this game against Miami.
I mean, it's something that we have to do. It's another task at hand. We've been playing the playoffs or the play-in since, I don't know, probably 20 games. We knew all these games were going to matter. So I've been saying I feel like our main goal was to be stepping in the right direction come postseason time, and it is.
So mainly, everything I touched on, I thought he did a great job of backing it up from a player's perspective, of course. But, the last time these two guys played each other, it was an all-out war. I mean, that's going to be some good basketball if you're just a fan, if they're going to be able to replicate that on Wednesday night, as they did in Miami. That was a back-and-forth brawl. All 48 minutes were spent giving it each team's all out there on the court. But this is where some unsung heroes are going to need to come through. Kyle Lowry was huge in that win against Miami. You're going to need to see him come through. A guy like, Cameron Payne coming off the bench as well. Paul Reed. But another guy that you heard Nick Nurse highlight earlier was Tobias Harris. Is he going to be able to carry over a strong game Sunday? Now, the Heat are obviously a much better team than the Brooklyn Nets. But is he going to be able to carry that over and prove the Philadelphia sports media, prove maybe some guys in the front office, and sure as hell prove the fans wrong that the 76ers did not make a totally stupid decision in choosing him over Jimmy Butler. He's never going to be able to prove. Unless the 76ers sit there at the end of the year, he's the finals MVP. They will never be able to prove that it was a correct decision in re-signing Tobias Harris. But for one night, maybe he can at least prove to the fans that, it wasn't a total dumb decision, that they saw something in me. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. Now here's Tyrese Maxey. You want to play a few here on his confidence in playing with Joel Embiid and what that's going to look like from a team perspective as well going into this game on Wednesday night.
I think, we played a couple games, with Joel, and then for me, I played 3 years with him, and you know who he is, you know how he plays, you know how he wants the ball, we kind of know we're spacing and different things like that, so I think we'll be ready. I think, I think Miami will be ready, and it's going to be a tough game, That's who they are, they bring toughness, and I thought we'd do that as well, so.
Maybe even between the games, what have you and Joel just maybe really reps, at practices or just in workouts, just to get that sharpness back at the end of the play?
Right. Me and Joel talk all the time though, so it's like that connection. That doesn't go anywhere. That's a friendship. That's like a true friendship. So that's on and off the court. So when we get on the court, we're able to talk to each other and figure out how we're going to play, how we need to play in certain games, and when he's going, when he has it going, how we got to feed him, how we got to give him the ball. So I think we're doing pretty well with that. We've been doing pretty well with that all year, or at least half the year that he's played. So
I guess was there something that you just had to click back into, just the reps and just the chemistry building, not even the chemistry building, the timing.
Of course, it's different. Not just for myself, but for the entire team, entire organization. You got to get back used to playing with the big fella and when to cut, when not to cut, when to stay, when he gets traps, how he got on the team. So the spacing of it, it's difficult, but we're capable of doing it. And we practice a lot on it, with them out there, with them not out there. So Nurse has done a really good job with that.
I know I, for one, am anxious as to how that's going to look. With his injury that he suffered against the Orlando Magic, sure, he came in and he played well, but could that have just been some adrenaline talking? How is that going to look Wednesday night? Is he going to be able to go out there and be well-conditioned heading into that game? And hopefully he will, because, obviously, hopefully he will, but, with the playoff career Joel Embiid has had, this is such an important time to get the 76ers into the playoffs. We've heard about what they're eyeing this offseason, and I don't think that was great to leak that news right now because, to be honest, we want to be focused on doing what we need to be doing right now. Don't need to be focused on us going out and getting Paul George this summer. No, want to be focused on whether or not the 76ers have enough what it takes to get the win over the Miami Heat. If they're going to be able to do that, like I said, they'll be playing the New York Knicks, but let me tell you what, it's not going to be pretty. There are going to be some times it's going to be like that game last week where you were doubting it a little bit. You were going, ooh, I don't know about this one. And they pulled it off in the end. Can they repeat it this time at home at the Wells Fargo Center? Can they do it? It's going to be an all-out war. I'm hoping, because that's how we've talked about. That's how the 76ers have needed to win. Win ugly. Win ugly. That's been the motto for the 76ers season this year. They've had to win ugly without Joel Embiid, without Tyrese Maxey at times. Can they do it? They've got those guys there. Kelly Oubre has been able to handle it at times. Guys like Paul Reed have been stepping up. Cam Payne has been stepping up as well. Sometimes we've seen Kyle Lowry. Now can everyone step up, put a full 48 minutes together out there on the floor? Let's see it happen. We'll be talking about it on Wednesday night here on the 610 podcast, and as I'm sure, hopefully, a preview coming up into the first round. But we'll see if they're going to be fortunate enough to get in. It's like the first 4 game being played in Dayton, Ohio, baby. I've never seen this before for the Sixers, but hopefully they'll be able to do it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in as always, and I'll talk to you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.